Hello and welcome, I'm Thomas Porteous and you're watching NewsX World. Let's take a look at some of the top headlines this hour. Japan's Prime Minister Shigeru Ishiba says he will step down after losing his majority in both houses less than a year into office. Ishiba announces he is resigning as the leader of the Liberal Democratic Party, ending decades of nearly unbroken rule for Japan's ruling party. Kyiv reels after a massive Russian barrage of drones and missiles ignites a government building overnight. Ukraine strikes back with a drone attack on a Russian oil pipeline in Bryansk near the western border. South Korea says it has reached an agreement with the United States for the release of detained Korean workers in Georgia. Yonhap reports a plane will bring them home once the administration procedures are complete. Thousands rally in Tel Aviv, calling on President Donald Trump to end the Gaza war and secure the release of hostages. Demonstrators pack a square outside the military headquarters as anger against Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's government grows. Spain moves to impose a complete and immediate arms embargo on Israel, with Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez's government considering declaring Netanyahu and top ministers personae non grata. The plan, reportedly set to take effect by royal decree, builds on Spain's recognition of the Palestinian state and follows cancelled defence deals with Israel. A preliminary report says a cable failure caused the Lisbon funicular to hurtle down a hillside, killing at least 16 and injuring 22. The tram-like carriage derailed on Wednesday and slammed into a building near its twin at the bottom of the track. Business tycoon and veteran politician Antoine Chan Viraku is sworn in as Thailand's new Prime Minister after receiving the King's endorsement. He takes office amid months of political turmoil, becoming the nation's third leader in just 2 years. China says its forces trailed and warned a Canadian frigate and Australian destroyer as they sailed through the Taiwan Strait. The People's Liberation Army condemns the passage as troublemaking and provocation. We start in the Indo-Pacific this hour, where in a significant political development in Tokyo, Japanese Prime Minister Shigeru Ishiba has officially resigned as the president of the ruling Liberal Democratic Party to prevent a party split. His resignation comes just a day before the LDP was scheduled to decide on holding an early leadership election, a move that would have effectively acted as a no-confidence motion against him. Let's listen in.
この度私は自由民主党総裁の職を辞することといたしました。
The LDP and its coalition partner, Komeito, suffered major losses in recent elections, losing their majority in both the lower and upper houses of parliament. In the July parliamentary elections, Ishiba's ruling coalition failed to secure the crucial majority in the 248-seat upper house, further destabilizing his government. Despite this setback, Ishiba vowed to remain prime minister, even as he stepped down as party leader. Since taking office in October, he had resisted pressure from right-wing factions within the LDP who were pushing for his removal. His resignation marks a critical moment as the ruling party faces uncertainty ahead. We're now joined by Dr. Satoru Nagao. He's a fellow at the Hudson Institute and he joins us live from the Japanese capital to discuss this in more detail. Thank you very much, Dr. Nagao, for joining us. Pleasure to have you on the program as always. Is this an unexpected action from Shigeru Ishiba, or did the people of Japan see this coming?
Last some days, this is expected nearly. But yes, last some months, the people expect he will continue as a prime minister. And this is a little bit special situation because generally, if the leader lost both house of the election, upper house and lower house, of course the leader resign as as a leader of the LDP. LDP, the Liberal Democratic Party, ruling party. So that's why when the Prime Minister Ishiba expressed his will to continue as a Prime Minister, indeed everyone surprised. But he really trying to do so. And so that's why, it's, of course, there is a strong opposition in the ruling party, LDP. In the past, Prime Minister Ishiba was the rival against Prime Minister Shinzo Abe. Shinzo Abe, every time he won the election, so that's why Ishiba lose the election always. But that's why the supporter of the Prime Minister Shinzo Abe, he is a right-wing guy, and so right-wing supporters strongly resist the leadership of the Prime Minister Ishiba. Now the Ishiba continued to be the Prime Minister despite he lose 2 houses of election, Parliament, National Diet. So former supporter of the Prime Minister Abe strongly appeal their will to demand the Prime Minister Ishiba to resign. But Prime Minister Shinzo Abe was assassinated. Their supporter was lost leader. That's why, indeed, the reaction came from these supporters. Even if there is a consensus, all of them wished the Ishiba to resign. But indeed, this group are separated, and indeed,
Yes.
diverse party and group the candidate to their support. So that's why some are supporting the right-wing opposition party, National Democratic Party, and the Sansei Party, New Rising Sansei Party. So they left from the support of the LDP, ruling party.
Yes.
So that okay. Should I stop?
No, continue, please.
Oh, okay. So yes, that's why it's, currently in the LDP, the main force is not right-wing people, but if the next prime minister came from the Prime Minister Shinzo Abe's group, who is there's a high possibility the guy is Sanae Takachi, the lady who was the successor of the Prime Minister Abe. Prime Minister Abe pointed out she is the successor in the past. So if she will be the new Prime Minister, the original supporter of the Prime Minister Shinzo Abe will return to the support of the LDP. So in the LDP, former Prime Minister Abe's supporter will gather and integrate their effort to support new Prime Minister if she will be. So that is the current situation. But in the LDP ruling party, some certain number of the people do not like Takachi's hawkish or right-wing style. So that's why there is a possibility that they will prepare another candidate in the next election of the LDP. So that's why who will win will affect the situation. And in this case, even if they choose a new leader, that new leader need to cooperate with opposition party because they have already lost the majority in the parliament. That's why this situation will affect who is the ideal leader in the ruling party. And in this case, if they plan to collaborate with the new rising, the right-wing opposition party as a coalition partner or case-by-case partner, in this case, Takashi Sanae has the advantage. But if the other candidate will win, in this case, maybe they need to find which opposition party is a proper opposition to cooperate in the near future. But that will happen, I think.
Yes, Dr. Satoru Nagao, thank you very much for that explanation and pleasure to have you on the program. Thank you very much for joining us. We now move over to Europe, where Israeli Foreign Minister Gideon Saar and Denmark's Foreign Minister Lars Løkke Rasmussen have held talks in Jerusalem amid growing tensions over the war in Gaza. Saar has said that he has urged Denmark not to recognize a Palestinian state, stating that peace with the Palestinians can only be reached bilaterally and that recognition by other nations does not bring peace closer. He has also said that the war in Gaza could end tomorrow if hostages are released and Hamas lays down its arms. This comes as Denmark's foreign minister also called on Israel to halt its military offensive in Gaza, expressing concern over settlement expansion in the West Bank and urged that injured Gazans should be allowed to receive medical treatment in East Jerusalem and the West Bank. We are now joined by Yossi Kapawasa, and he is an Israeli intelligence and security expert, and he joins us live from Tel Aviv. Thank you very much, Yossi, for joining us here on NewsX.
Thank you for having me.
Pleasure. Yossi, of course, multiple allies are planning on recognizing a Palestinian state in September. We've just heard another one there. What are the People's Israel's thoughts about this and the whole two-state solution prospect as it stands right now?
Well, the Israeli people, I think, in general, are frustrated with this attitude of the Europeans and the other Western countries. It's rewarding Hamas, and it's imposing a certain situation and a solution for the conflict between us and the Palestinians that is not acceptable to Israel. That is something that is upsetting the Israeli public, and for a good reason. We have to understand, we tried something very close to a Palestinian state in Gaza. They were totally under their own control, and the only thing they worried about was preparing themselves to launch an attack against Israel. And that's what we have seen on October 7th. And if you reward them for that by accepting a Palestinian state and recognizing one, it's just a guarantee that we are going to see more 7th of Octobers in the future. And all the war we are fighting is in order to make it clear to the Palestinians that 7th of October was a mistake, was a wrong move. And here comes the free world and sends just the opposite message to the Palestinians. 7th of October was a great move. And all those who ask us to stop the war before Hamas is disarmed are actually presenting Hamas with a gift, and that it does not deserve to get. And yes, we want to see the hostages released, and we want to see Hamas disarmed. And then we are ready to sit down to the table with the Palestinians and discuss all kinds of possibilities. The possibility of a Palestinian state right now in Israeli public minds is something that is very dangerous.
Yes, Yossi, do stay with us. We have a further update. The Palestinian Islamic Jihad has claimed responsibility for rocket fire from the Gaza Strip, targeting southern Israel earlier this morning. According to the group's statement on Telegram, 2 rockets were fired at the city of Netivot. The Israel Defense Forces confirmed that 1 rocket was intercepted, while the other landed in an open area. No injuries or damage have been reported thus far. The incident comes amid rising tensions in the region, with the IDF maintaining heightened alert along the Gaza border. Yossi, do Israelis see this kind of projectile action coming out of the Gaza Strip as a threat still?
Sure. These were 2 rockets launched towards a mid-sized city called Netivot. And this is dangerous. Fortunately, we were able to intercept one of them, and the other fell in open area. But it is a threat, and it's still something that we have to take into account when we operate in Gaza City or in Gaza Strip, and mostly in the Gaza City area, because the terrorists still have the capability to launch rockets and to cause damage and to shoot at our forces. Yes, it's definitely a situation that we have to worry about. And this emphasizes the need to urgently move forward and remove Hamas and the Islamic Jihad from power in Gaza. so that they will not be able to launch those rockets in the future. That's why the situation in Gaza has to change dramatically.
Yossi, what more can you tell us about this group that has claimed responsibility for firing these rockets, the Palestinian Islamic Jihad? What are their aims?
Well, the Palestinian Islamic Jihad is the smaller terror organization ruling the Gaza Strip together with Hamas. They are very close to Iran. Iran is financing everything they spend and supports them with the technical and military guidance, and everything they have is based on Iran. They are very close to the Iranian leadership. But Hamas is also close to Iran, but not as close as Islamic Jihad. They are less interested in ruling the Gaza Strip from the civilian point of view as Hamas. They focus on military and terror activities. And that's why they, unlike Hamas, even more belligerent than Hamas, and are ready to launch these rockets against us.
Yossi Kapawasa, thank you very much for joining us here on the programme. Pleasure to get your insight. We now move over to North America, where US President Donald Trump threatens to impose more tariffs on the European Union after the bloc slaps a €2.95 billion fine of about 3.47 billion US dollars on Google for violating anti-monopoly laws. Right after the EU's decision, Trump posts on Truth Social that Europe today hits another great American company, Google, with a $3.5 billion fine, effectively taking money that would otherwise go to American investments and jobs. Very unfair, and the American taxpayer will not stand for it. He adds, as I've said before, my administration will not allow these discriminatory actions to stand. I'll be forced to start a Section 301 proceeding to nullify the unfair penalties being charged to these tax-paying American companies. The EU accuses Google of abusing its dominance in ad tech by giving its own ad exchanges a competitive edge. It's the fourth multi-billion euro antitrust fine Brussels has imposed on the company. Google vows to appeal it. Digital regulation enforcement continues to surface during EU-US trade talks under Donald Trump. We are now joined by Professor Madhav Nalapat. He is the editorial director of the Sunday Guardian, and he joins us live from New Delhi. Thank you very much, Professor Nalapat, for joining us here on the programme, as always. What are your thoughts on this? Does the US practice unfair digital regulation, and what are your thoughts on Donald Trump using his tariff policy to rebut it?
Look, in the first place, I'd like to point out that the EU is a very important partner of the United States, both in trade as well as in security, as well as in people-to-people relationships. And for sake of $3 billion, you're willing to basically, put a sledgehammer to the US-EU close relationship. It makes no sense at all. The fact is that the Europeans have strict antitrust laws. So, by the way, do the Americans. And so do other countries now more and more, because the fact is that tech is an important component of not only modern lives, but modern warfare. Modern warfare depends heavily on tech, and keeping tech secrets and advancing your tech is very important. There's now, for example, a tech race between the United States on the one hand and its allies and partners and China. And frankly, the way Trump is moving, several of the allies and partners are beginning to wonder, are they really partners or are they enemy countries? And the latest now is this kind of threat on the EU. Look at the juxtaposition. You have a relationship that is, worth, billions, if not $1 trillion, and you're putting that at risk for the $3 billion for Google. Look, the fact of the matter is that, to be honest with you, it makes no sense at all. And those of us in India who have been trying to grapple with the way Trump has been shifting his stand, the way Trump has been going ahead with his tariff threats, frankly, as yet, at least I, for one, am unable to decipher any logic behind it. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Professor Nalapat. Do stay with us. We have some further updates to discuss. And next we move back to Europe, where a new report has come on the deadly funicular accident that happened in Portugal's capital city of Lisbon on Wednesday, which killed at least 16 people and injured 22 others. The preliminary findings indicate that a failure in the cable connecting the two cars caused one car to hurtle down the steep hillside and crash into a building. Investigators also found that the car lost its balance after travelling only a few metres, and both the pneumatic and handbrakes failed to slow it down. Moreover, examination of the wreckage confirmed that the cable had snapped at the top attachment point. Authorities are expected to release a final report on the incident later. Additionally, reports from other sources also mentioned that the Gloria funicular line has seen a triple in surge in its passengers over the past decade, which has raised potential concerns about its outdated technology. We are now once again joined by Professor Nalapat. A lot to unpack there. Of course, we now, from this preliminary report, have found out that the problem was with the cable snapping, which led to the death of these 16 people in the Portuguese capital, and also that this funicular had become a tourist attraction and an iconic symbol of Lisbon, which of course also raises the concerns that possibly the apparatus used were too old. Madam Nalapat, what are your thoughts on this tragic incident that occurred in the Portuguese capital?
How many horse carriages do you see on the streets of London? The answer is none. And the reason is that it's way outdated. And frankly, this may be a tourist attraction, but Portugal as a country has several attractions. It's an extremely attractive country for tourists to visit, not only for its costs, also for its friendly people, and for the different scenic locations. There's no reason to keep the technology, which, if I'm not mistaken, the funicular railway was established in 1914, and sometime before the First World War. It's clearly outlived, its use, the way horse carriages had in a previous era, and I think they need to be retired. But I was told that the middle cable snapped, and the middle cable provides a tire balance for the carriage. And so when that snapped, and it's probably because of defective maintenance or whatever, but these things happen. The reality is it's very, very expensive to maintain outdated technologies. New technology may look more costly in the short run, but over the medium term and definitely the longer term, they more than repay themselves several times over. So I would say that this is a wake-up call for Portugal to ensure that some other tourist attractions are highlighted, and this train is gradually phased out of service, because today it was this crash, tomorrow it may be another, and if there's another, then citizens of Portugal are not going to be very sparing on a government that saw this deadly crash and then did nothing about it, but continued with it. So yes, it's a very great tourist attraction, but the reality is horse carriages, or horse buggies, if you drive them through London, they'd be a great tourist attraction, but the inconvenience they cause and the maintenance that they will be there, on the roads and wherever, is immense. So in my view, the funicular railway has outlived its use, and it needs to be phased out. And I think Portugal needs to start thinking of doing that, because the maintenance costs are only going to go up. And obviously, where there are tight budgets, those costs may not be entirely made up. It may be made up through less and less good maintenance. So I would say that it's time for the funicular railway to slowly and gently get retired. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Madhav Nalapat, for joining us here on the programme. Pleasure to talk to you as always. We now move over back to the Indo-Pacific, where China's military says its forces followed and warned a Canadian and Australian warship sailing through the Taiwan Strait, calling it a provocation that increases security risks. An Australian defence spokesperson says the destroyer HMAS Brisbane conducted a routine transit from September the 6th to 7th in line with international law, along with Canada's frigate HMCS Ville de Quebec. Australia insists its vessels continue to exercise freedom of navigation under the UN Convention on the Law of the Sea. A Canadian Forces spokesperson says Ville de Quebec is deployed under Operation Horizon, promoting Indo-Pacific stability. Earlier this week, the ship operated in the Philippine Economic Zone during navigation drills. Taiwan's defense ministry says it closely monitors the strait, while the US, Canada, Britain and France also regarded the waterway as international waters. Taiwan rejects Beijing's claims as China continues to step up military pressure with nearby war games. Andrew, we are now joined by Andrew KP Leung. He is a China strategist and he joins us live from Hong Kong. Andrew, thank you very much. Always a pleasure to talk to you on matters like these. What are your thoughts on these tensions? More drama coming out of the Taiwan Strait?
It's nothing dramatic, really. I mean, these so-called freedom of navigation operations have been going on for decades. Started by the United States as a method to confront China on the security in the Taiwan Strait, and Beijing's intention to recover the Taiwan is part of President Xi's China dream by 2049 at the latest, but preferably by peaceful means, but also if Taiwan should formally declare independence. China enacted the Anti-Succession Act again decades ago. So I think that these dynamics have existed for a very, very long time, but the United States and its allies are likely to carry on doing more of the same. This is unlikely to change the momentum, because as demonstrated in the Beijing's recent military parade celebrating the end of the Second World War, vastly superior weapons, including missiles and sixth generation fighter jets, are in display, as well as this numerous military chessboard exercises, war game exercises conducted by the Pentagon and some of its allies. I think that this conclusion has always been, over the past recent past, that there is no way that the United States can withstand the PLA Navy should a war breaks out. And according to the war games, the West always lose. But the display of the latest weapons can tip the balance. But on the other hand, Beijing's preference is for peaceful unification, because the two peoples are increasingly intertwined. More and more Chinese people are establishing their businesses on the main, seeking their business opportunities on the mainland, and the two peoples are start visiting each other regularly. Even though the two systems are, of course, not the same, but they share the same civilization, same language, the same culture. So I think that at the end of the day, the momentum is moving in Beijing's favor. Unification is likely to be put on the table sooner rather than later.
Andrew KP Leung, thank you very much for joining us here on the programme and giving us your insight on that. We now move on once again. At this year's Venice Film Festival, The Voice of Hind Rajab by Tunisian director Kathoutha Ben Hayana has captured global attention. The docudrama recounts the harrowing story of 6-year-old Hind Rajab, killed in Gaza during the Israel-Gaza war, using real audio from her calls to the Palestine Red Crescent Society. The film blends drama and documentary, portraying the desperate attempts of volunteers to rescue her. It received a record 23-minute standing ovation at its premiere and won the Silver Lion Prize. Ben Hayana said the film preserves Hind's voice and highlights the suffering of an entire people enduring genocide. The other winners include Jim Jarmusch's Golden Lion winning a film, also used the festival stage to address the Gaza crisis. Many festival awardees also used their platform to speak out on Gaza, making the festival a stage for both cinematic and humanitarian attention. Let's listen in to what the filmmakers and the actors attached to the movie had to say.
At the same time, since they told me to come back, I was thinking of Wissam, his mother, and his little brother Iyad. They are still in Gaza, enduring danger. I mean, for me, it was important to say, please help them, because it's for me almost surreal. And Wissam sent me a word to read. And she said, I wish I was with you in Venice Film Festival.
Voilà, je suis très touchée que le jury ait récompensé le film par l'écriture, parce que c'est un film qui parle de la nécessité d'écrire aussi. Et c'est l'adaptation d'un livre. Et je trouve que c'est un prix intelligent parce que ça récompense le film à tous ses endroits. À la fois celui de la production, puisque c'est Alain Goldman qui a acheté les droits de ce livre d'abord. Ensuite, celui de l'autrice que je suis, puisque je l'ai lu et j'ai eu tout de suite envie de l'adapter au cinéma et c'est comme ça qu'on s'est rencontrés.
Lo que dije antes es un grito de dolor también, porque ganar esta recompensa es algo muy bonito, pero es algo también que provoca, que va a buscar el dolor que siento hoy, viendo tanta barbaridad, viendo este genocidio sin nombre. Es algo que me duele muchísimo. Y creo que es esencial el hablar, el decir lo que sentimos, el dar una voz y que cada voz cuenta, que no hay que callarse.
Well, that is all that we have time for, but we will continue to bring you more news updates from around the world.